Hello, welcome to Microfiche Microphone. I'm Micah, and on this channel we look at microfiche from the past, so old newspaper articles from in the public domain, and we look at them with our modern eyes and our modern perspective and see what we can learn from them. So on this microfiche time capsule, we are switching gears. I know I recently read a whole bunch from the London Magazine in the 18th century, and we are skipping forward to the Kansas farmer. In 1918, we are looking at an article from 5th of January in 1918, and it is called Wartime Farm Prices. I thought we would switch gears and look at World War I. Times, World War I, America. Now, the Kansas Farmer is a newspaper that is a little bit niche, I could say. It's very much talking about farming practices in general, and it's very strongly geared toward that. I mean, of course, it's called the Kansas Farmer. Actually, it's not the Kansas. There's no the. Kansas Farmer. Anyways, I thought this was an interesting... I haven't read this article actually all the way through. I thought that it would be interesting to look at the subject matter, wartime farm prices. I think this is something that a lot of us don't necessarily know a lot about. So, let's take a look. It's by Clarence Ousley, Assistant Secretary of Agriculture. I can safely say he. I think Clarence is a male name, yeah? It has been lightly asserted that the American farmer has no material interest at stake in the war with Germany. Let us see. Those who think that there is nothing in the American cause except the privilege of pleasure seekers to travel on passenger ships to Europe must have forgotten the specific condition upon which Germany offered to permit American shipping. Without reviewing the tragic events which caused the death of 226 American citizens, including women and children, without discussing the sinking of any particular ship, and without even considering the four separate and distinct promises of Germany, in effect not to sink ships without safeguarding the lives of the passengers and crew, let it be recalled that in her declaration of purpose in January 31, 1917, to extend the submarine zone to Great Britain, France, and Italy, and therein to sink all ships, regardless of flag or cargo, she offered to this country as a special favor the privilege of sending one steamer a week each way to the port of Falmouth, England, upon condition that it should be striped with 3 stripes, each a meter wide, red and white alternating, and upon a further condition that a guarantee be given that such ships should not carry contraband. Now, that is an extraordinarily long sentence. I don't think there was a period anywhere in there. Okay, there's one. Okay. Sorry, it didn't feel like there was a good break. Wow, I didn't know this. See? Look at all the things we can learn from the past. First of all, it's interesting that Kansas would be interested in shipping since they're landlocked, but hey, whatever. And apparently they had, I did not know this, that they had an agreement with Germany that they could send one steamer a week to Falmouth, England, as long as it had the 3 stripes on it, red and white stripes. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Perhaps one ship a week each way would accommodate the pleasure seekers, but how much of our export and import business would it accommodate? In the fiscal year ending June 30th, 1913, we exported to Europe farm products to the value, oh boy, big numbers. Okay, $1,123,651,085. Yeah? Or is it 985? It's hard to tell. Among these products are the following. Animals, live animals, $7,080,122. Dairy products, $3,220,893. Eggs, $4,391,653. Packing house products, $162,706,355. Cotton, $547,357,195. Fruits, $36,345,517. This is ridiculous. It's okay. Grain and grain products, $210,523,721. Oil cake and oil cake meal, $29,444,252. Oil vegetable, $24,044,401. Tobacco, $49,353,595. I think my throat was tired of reading the numbers. Let us consider the two items of cotton and wheat. The cotton consists of 4,562,295. No, I can read numbers, I promise. These are crazy though. 4,562,295,675 pounds, or 9,124,591 bales. Whew! The cotton alone would require at the rate of 10,000 bales to the ship, more than 900 ship cargoes. As there are only 52 weeks in the year, it would be seen how long it would take a ship a week to move the cotton alone. The wheat consists of 91,602,974 bushels. It will be an interesting calculation for the children to figure out how many cargoes of 2,500 tons each would be required to move this wheat to Europe, and how long it would take at the rate of one cargo a week. As to these two made products, and as of the other farm products, not to speak of manufactured products, their commercial value depends upon the foreign market. Without a foreign market for cotton, for instance, even this year with a probable crop of only 12 million bales, we have for export something like 5 million bales above the American consumption, and approximately 7 million bales. Okay, I can read. Let's try this again. We have for export something like 5 million bales above the American consumption of approximately 7 million bales. So they have 12 million. Why don't they just say that? If we could not export cotton, therefore, we would have a surplus of 5 million bales, and that surplus would cause cotton to decline from the present high price of 26 or 27 cents a pound to a price far below the cost of production. This is an interesting argument to me. So they're saying that because of the embargoes from Germany on trade in Europe, between Europe and the United States, that they're going to be losing money hand over fist. And that is their excuse as to why Kansas should care about the war. That's interesting to me. Well, I mean, everybody should care about a war, because war means death and destruction. We want to stop that now, don't we? But it's interesting that they were so far removed in Kansas, because they're very, very unlikely to be bombed. If any enemy countries were able to bomb them, they would go towards the coasts, you know? They wouldn't come all the way into Kansas, where it's very sparsely populated. So they were very well protected from any kind of attack, physical attack. And so they were having trouble caring about people so far away. But this person is arguing that it has a very strong economical impact on Kansas, so that the prices of their goods will drop severely because we now have an excess and we are not able to export. That is very interesting to me. All right, let's keep going. As illustrative of this point, it is necessary only to recall the conditions in 1914, when at the beginning of the war, shipping was uncertain, and as a consequence, cotton was sold at 6 or 7 cents a pound. Wow, that's a huge drop. That's less than a third. A fourth? It's less than a fourth. It's like a fifth of what it was before. Even with the short wheat crop this year, we have something like 100 million bushels more than we need for consumption in the United States. It happens that Europe needs not only that 100 millions, but very much more. But if we had accepted Germany's dictation and were to send only one ship a week to Europe, that 100 million bushels above our own needs would be a surplus which would carry the price of wheat below the cost of production. Wow. Carry the price of wheat below the cost of production. They wouldn't even be breaking even? Like, that's really bad. Oh my gosh, that's a great way to bankrupt farmers. So I guess this is what their argument is as to why the farmers should care. You should care about the war because you're going to be losing money so much that you can't even cover your costs. That's horrible. The right to use the seas is the right to buy and sell in the markets of the world. To be denied that right is to be compelled to live upon our own resources. Of course, we can do that in this wonderful country, but we can prosper as a nation and as individuals only by trading our supplies or products for the surplus of products which other people have to sell. That's commerce for you. If, for instance, our farmers can sell no more cotton or wheat than is necessary in this country, many farmers would be compelled to quit raising cotton and wheat and would use their lands for other farm products. That's definitely true. If you had a surplus of wheat, then you wouldn't grow wheat, would you? You'd be like, well, why would I grow wheat? Because the prices are so awful. Yeah. Makes sense to me. You grow something that would be worth growing, yeah. To have accepted Germany's dictation, therefore, would have been to put our agriculture in a state of complete suffocation by taking from every farmer the value of wheat he produced above what he needed for his own consumption. Yeah, so that it would drive them to subsistence farming, which doesn't make a lot of money. Just say that. I mean, you would be able to live, but you'd be the only ones, The rest of the country would be in trouble. Oh, geez. That's interesting. So they specifically rejected that dictation, those embargoes. They said, no, we're not going to stop sailing the seas. We're not going to stop importing and exporting. So get over yourselves. And that's what's basically started the war with Germany. That's interesting. I mean, for the United States. I know that there was already a war with Germany. So, all right, moving on. Okay, the same power that would forbid our exports would also in self-interest forbid our imports, except in the interest of that power. Therefore, to have yielded to Germany's dictation would have restricted us to imports from Germany alone, and would have made us pay tribute for all time to her industries. Yeah, that's probably true, actually. So they're saying that they could only have imported from Germany. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. If we had acquiesced in the limitation of one ship a week, we would have conceded the right of Germany to regulate our exports and imports as she might see fit now or hereafter. We had the choice of submitting to that dictation or of fighting to maintain our right to sell and to buy wherever we might sell or buy to advantage. It is inconceivable that an American citizen, regardless of his material interests, could yield to such dictation by a foreign power. But on the low plane of material interests, we had to fight Germany, or cease to be a nation of prosperous products and become a nation of peons to Prussian autocracy. Wow, that's quite a sentence. That's a lot of alliteration. A prosperous producers and become a nation of peons to Prussian autocracy. It's very well written, but it's not the only reason that the United States joined in World War I. But I can see why this kind of an article would end up in the Kansas Farmer, because Kansas farmers, like I said, were so far removed from the actual fighting that they felt very safe where they were, and they might even question, well, why are you fighting? So just from economic reasons alone, they had to go to war. I find that very fascinating, and I was not aware of the embargoes. And I don't know how many of my listeners or viewers were aware of that. So please write in the comments below if you had heard of that. But I found that very fascinating. Like, that's really interesting. And that would definitely convince me. I don't know about you. So let me know how you feel about this argument and what you think was the right thing that we should have done or had done or did do or whatever. And I know that in any war there are a lot of economic concerns. This most recent skirmish, let's put it that way, between Russia and the Ukraine is causing a lot of concern about natural resources that come from those areas. Oil, gas, natural gas. But that was only the beginning. That was the very first things that we noticed. But now our biggest concern is wheat and barley and other grains, fertilizer, and things like that. I was just reading an article from the New York Times this morning, a current article, current events for us, is that they're now very concerned because it's springtime, and if the farmers in the Ukraine can't now plant a new crop for this upcoming year, then this war, even if it only lasts a few weeks, assuming that it's only going to last a few weeks, but it could last for years. But if it only lasts a few weeks even, it might end up messing up any wheat production for a good year. So that is definitely a concern, and that will cause a lot of other countries to suffer, because Ukraine and Russia both export wheat. They have more than they need, so they'll be fine if they're not able to produce this year, because they probably have stocks set up for that. But other countries won't. Other countries that don't produce wheat, that only import it and export something else, then they might not have wheat at all. So that's a major concern. So this is definitely applicable to our times, even though it was written in January 1918. Anyways, I thought you might enjoy that, so thank you for joining us on our Microfiche time capsule, and please be sure to like and subscribe the video, and I'll see you in the next video.